Hey, this is a quick update video on the wood burning masonry heater retrofit project I've been working on. So I have finished all the the main cob core around all of the bricks and slate that are directly abutting the wood burner. So this is the last layer of sand and clay cob that I've put on here, and then there will be a final shell that I'll show in the next video of clay, sand, and straw to add more flexural strength to help prevent any cracking that may occur. But this is the final step of the non-straw reinforced cob. I have been adding a small amount of Portland cement into this cob mix just to get it to set quicker and to, through hydraulic action, reduce the water content in the cob mix as it cures, just to pull more of that water out and use it in the hydraulic reaction with the Portland cement to help it cure to depth at these, thick depths that I'm putting it on. The other thing I was going to show that I mentioned in the last video was the copper wool being stuffed into any of the larger than needed expansion areas around the stove. So as you can see there, I've packed the entire gap there along the side of the stove with copper wool, and that just helps to, copper is a very thermally conductive material. And so that helps pull heat out of the stove and dump it into the masonry surrounding the stove. I did it on both sides. And I also did it on a couple areas around the flue exit from the top of the stove as well. And there was a small area behind the stove that had a larger than needed gap. So basically, if the gap is larger, if the gap between the wood burning stove and the surrounding masonry at any point is larger than like 2 millimeters, then I was trying to stuff some copper wool in there because it just doesn't need that much space, and that's adding unnecessary insulation in terms of an air gap between the stove and the masonry that I don't want. So this copper will take up that extra gap but still provide a cushioning expansion zone, and will also pull heat out of the stove, hopefully efficiently, and dump it into the masonry. So I've had a couple test fires in here. It's working pretty well so far. There's still a lot of drying out of the cob material to do. But the last fire I had almost as much cob as you see here packed onto the stove, and the top here was warm to the touch for probably about 7 hours after the burn, and the burn itself lasted maybe 30-40 minutes. So that's right around what I'm looking for. I'm trying to get an 8-hour heating curve coming out of this thing because I have an 8-hour workday in this little office. I think that the performance will continue to improve as the cob dries out, because a lot of the heat is being wasted to dry out the cob right now. And also in my final layer of cob, I'll be coming even a bit higher onto the chimney flue pipe thing, probably up to about here, so I'll get an extra 2 inches of this pipe in direct contact with some thermal mass, so we'll be pulling heat out of that section of the pipe and capturing it in thermal mass as well, which should also help improve its performance in terms of how long it holds heat. So yeah, I think you're starting to get the idea of what it's going to look like in the end, and I will come back in the last video, well, maybe not the last, but I'll come back in the next video to show the final layer of straw reinforced cob shell that I put around this entire thing and get it all smoothed out, looking nice and attractive. And then on top of that, I may lime wash it or I may try to do a really thin kind of lime plastering coat on top of it, although I'm a little worried that the clay core and a tiny little layer of lime plaster on the top might not play well together, and that there might be a lot of cracking between those two materials. So I may just try to get a very smooth finish with my hands and with trowels and stuff on the final layer of straw reinforced cob, get it as smooth as possible, and then maybe just lime wash it on top of that. So yeah, I'll be back in the next video. Thanks, bye.